All right, we are on day, I don't know what, of our trip down Route 66. And right now I am in Cuba, Missouri. If you caught the last episode of History Traveler, you know that I had intentions of going to this county museum right here, but I piddled around and got here a little bit too late in the day. It all worked out. Got to stay in a pretty cool motel last night, oldest running motel on Route 66, or oldest continuously running motel on Route 66. So anyway, today we're going to kick off our trip looking in this county museum, see what they have here, and then got a pretty big day of travel ahead of us. The museum that we are currently at this morning is the Crawford County Museum. Before we go in, I wanted to show something that I really liked that they have here in this town, and that is a memorial that is set up that has the names of all of the known soldiers who were from this area who served in various conflicts. So here you can see all the names of soldiers who fought in World War I, and then you get to World War II. Sometimes you'll see a star by the name, so that indicates that that person was killed in action. And then sometimes you'll see a dot by the name, which indicates that this person served in multiple conflicts. So anyway, here's another killed in action here, Dale Hudson. And then it goes on to show the veterans who served in Korea, also in Vietnam. And then if we go over to this side, it continues from Vietnam, then also includes Grenada, Panama, Persian Gulf War, and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah. That's really neat. And future generations will be able to come here and look at the names of the men and women who served from this area in different conflicts throughout the 20th and 21st centuries. Here in front of the museum, they have kind of an interesting piece here. Yesterday, when we were at Merrimack Caverns, I made brief mention of Sterling Price's raid through Missouri in the fall of 1864. Well, that raid brought Sterling's Confederates right through this area, and there's a town that's close by that we kind of passed through called Leesburg, and there was a short engagement that happened right there. Well, the boards that we are looking at here were part of an old train station that was used as a fort by the Union troops. And if you look, you'll notice that there are these holes that have been bored into the wood here. Well, it said that these 2-inch boards were providing protection for the Union troops, and these holes served as like loopholes that they could shoot through. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. Got a little bit of Civil War history right here as we are going into the museum. All right, we're going to go in and see what they got. All right, we just got into the museum here, and right off the bat, I'm seeing a lot of military artifacts that were sourced from the locals here in this area. So here, obviously, we have some photos of a veteran from the First World War, along with like a service hat. Here we can see photo of the veteran in his later years here, along with the uniform. And this is kind of an interesting piece that I can't say I've ever seen before. Got a little trench stove, is what they're calling it here. It's called a World War I Buddy trench stove is how it is labeled. And then has a little bit of literature. They also have, I'm seeing some World War II items here. So let's see. Got all kinds of different things. Here's some of the medals of a Raymond Maxfield, 3 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart. Wow, looks like he was in the 82nd Airborne Division. And you can see that he also has a little bit of souvenir items that he brought back. You can see that Luftwaffe badge there. Here's the uniform of a guy. I don't want to touch anything and move it. Oh, he's in the 10th Armored Division. Okay, so these guys were in the Siege of Bastogne. Let me read that. Oh, okay, yeah. Looks like this guy was taken prisoner during the Battle of the Bulge. But here's his uniform. Interesting. His name was Howard Henry. And then here's the uniform of a veteran who served in Korea. Was it Chipyong-ni, Wonju, Bloody Ridge, and Heartbreak Ridge? So this individual was in the 2nd Infantry Division. Yeah, interesting. Here are a few more World War I pieces in here, along with some of the photos of the veterans. So this one was worn by a guy named Archie Raff. Here's the photo of a guy named Claude Ferris. And then, they have just a few little odds and ends down here, like a helmet, mess kit, looks like maybe a sewing kit and things like that. And then they also have another uniform for a guy by the name of John Reese, who was in the 3rd Infantry Division. Looks like, I'm kind of just trying to read the card here. He was in the Aisne-Marne Offensive and Meuse-Argonne Offensive. All right. Yeah. And then they also have some items from some guys who served in Vietnam. And what I'm really, really liking is that along with the artifacts, they are also, telling to the best of their ability the story of these guys. So here you're not just looking at a Vietnam-era uniform. This belonged to a guy named Joe Hughes. Graduated from high school here in town in 1964. Went into the Marine Corps in 1966. Then it talks about his time in South Vietnam. Yeah, this is really a neat museum. All right, we'll show a few more things in here. What we are looking at right now are some items connected with a Marine by the name of Fritz Stth, who was from this town. As you can see his division patch there for the 2nd Marine Division, and then there is a photo of him, and you can see that Fritz was awarded the Silver Star. Well, the 2nd Marine Division fought in the Battle of Saipan. We actually did a video series there, and they also have his citation. So we have a little bit more of his history, and it says, I'll just kind of paraphrase it, on the 8th of July, 1944, there was a Japanese counterattack below Cabrera Pass, and Private Stth was manning a machine gun and held off against this Japanese counterattack. So maybe it was a banzai charge, possibly. I'll have to go do a little research and take a closer look at that. And then they also, this is kind of neat, have this uniform right here for a guy named Cecil Markley. And there's a story that the gentleman here was telling me that Cecil Markley served as a driver for George Patton. Yeah, all kinds of cool stuff in here. All right, I just completely passed by this earlier. This isn't local history, but it was in possession of somebody here locally. This is a piece of bark you can see, and it says on the little tag here, it says this is a piece of bark from the historic elm tree at Cambridge, Massachusetts. Standing in the shade of this elm tree, George Washington accepted the command of the Continental Army in 1776. Yeah, interesting. Okay, moving into this next room, there's just kind of a wide variety of artifacts and things like that they have. I'm seeing a lot of like women's fashion from different eras. Now, this area was originally occupied by the Osage Indians. So they have a section in here that kind of harkens back to the history of the Osage. You can see some of the stuff that they have here. They also have, several tomahawk heads and spear points and arrowheads that I am assuming were sourced locally. So that's always interesting. And then let's just take a quick peek over here. Again, we have some more women's fashion. And is that a picture? Got a picture of a couple kids, but I don't know what the connection is. I wonder if the little girl wearing that dress is this dress right here that we see in the picture. If so, that's pretty cool. But anyway, it looks like we have a little setup for a one-room schoolhouse in here. Hey, now this is pretty interesting. Here's what looks to be a copy of a teacher contract from, it says 1932 and 1934. This is for a Sam Bayless. Here's the contract from 1934. Doesn't say what he's teaching, at least that I can see on a quick scan. But in 1934, if you would have been a teacher at the Cuba Consolidated School District No. 1, you'd have been making $100 a month. All right, well, that was legitimately cool, and I could have spent a lot more time in there, but unfortunately, we're kind of on a bit of a time crunch today, and I got to get on down the road. There's a saying that all history is local. So, I mean, wherever you are, don't pass up these, county museums and little private museums, because when you learn about history on a small scale, like what they have here, it teaches you more about history on a broad scale. That was really, really interesting. All right, we're going to get on down the road and start making our way to Springfield with a few other stops along the way. All right, we had to take a quick stop to see the Route 66 rocker, the world famous, as it says up there, Route 66 rocker. At one point, this was I think, the world's largest rocking chair, which I think is just completely great that somebody was sitting around one day and was like, you know what the world needs? A giant rocking chair, and I'm going to build it. Now, to my understanding, this is the second largest rocking chair because somebody else came along and said, oh no, I'm going to build one that is even bigger. But anyway, there you go, kind of an iconic thing now along Route 66. Right here at the Fanning Outpost General Store. And I actually skipped breakfast this morning, so it's quite convenient that we're here. I'm going to go in and get a quick bite and something to drink, and then we are going to get back on the road. We've made our way down the road a little ways, and you may have noticed that we just went from a 2-lane road to a 4-lane road. This is a stretch of Old 66 that is known as Hooker Cut. And after the road was constructed, this was found to be kind of a dangerous portion of Old 66. So they ended up expanding this into a 4-lane road to make it a little bit safer. This actually follows the old Trail of Tears that the Cherokee followed as they made their way from the east to Oklahoma as a result of the Indian Removal Act. Got another landmark up ahead that is known as the Devil's Elbow and also Devil's Elbow Bridge. Alright, I've been seeing signs for like the past, 80 miles for this place along Route 66 called Redmond. We're needing to fuel up anyway. I guess there's like a big candy factory in here. So anyway, we're gonna go in and see what they got. Holy smokes. Well, this is what I'm calling job security for the dentist industry. Good grief, as long as this place exists, there are always going to be cavities. There are all kinds of varieties of candy and sweets and everything in here. And there are a ton of people in here too. Back here on the other side of this glass, this looks like the place where they make their own fudge and taffy and chocolate covered pretzels and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, again, here's just more of this variety of sweets that they have here. Good heavens. Yeah, this is all taffy that we're looking at. Peanut butter and jelly. Interesting. Oh, now look at this. Candy corn is nasty by itself. Who would want to take that awful taste and put it into taffy form? Not trying to be too judgmental here, but this looks like a choking hazard. A candy that is shaped like a Lego doesn't seem like such a good idea. Alright, in addition to all of the candy, they have about every kind of soda in here that you can possibly imagine. I'm not really a soda drinker. I'll have a root beer float every once in a while, but I don't really drink a whole lot of soda. But man, they have got all kinds of stuff here. Some of it's quite weird. So, alien snot, dog drool, kitty piddle, what the heck is that? Oh my gosh. And a pickle flavored soda, buffalo wings soda, peanut butter and jelly soda. What in the heck is even going on here? Good grief. Alright, I think I'm going to just bypass all of the weird flavors. And even though I don't really drink a whole lot of soda, I think I'm going to get one of these Route 66 orange sodas for the road here. Alright, so ended up getting the orange soda and a little bit of fudge. Got some peanut butter fudge and then some regular chocolate fudge that I'll try out later tonight. I'm going to have to be careful. I'm going to be gaining like 50 pounds on this trip. But anyway, it's more for the experience of it. There were two guys in there who were like super excited picking out the weird sodas. It was hilarious. There's a big antique mall right by this place, but unfortunately I don't have enough time to go to it. So we're going to get on down to Springfield and try and get to this next museum before they close. Alright, we are currently making our way through Springfield, Missouri, which supposedly is the home of Route 66. A lot of stuff to see here. Unfortunately, we can't see it all. Just got one place we're going to be able to visit here today. All right, we have made our way down to Springfield, Missouri. And when you're traveling Route 66, to me, you're doing the ultimate summer road trip. So if you're doing the ultimate summer road trip, it only seems appropriate that you take a little bit of time to talk about cars. So right now, we are at the Route 66 Car Museum. I've never been here before, so we're gonna check it out and kind of explore things together. I do want to give a disclaimer right up front though. When it comes to cars, I'm kind of an idiot. It's like in the area that I don't know much about, which is why I'm here. I want to learn more. So as we're going through here, if I sound like an imbecile, it's because I am. But we're going to go in here and see what we can learn. All right, we just walked into the museum here. And I may not know a lot about cars, but I do know a little bit of something about Batman. So right off the bat, you walk in, and here is a model of the original Batmobile from the Batman TV series that starred Adam West and Burt Ward. So yeah, that is really an eye-catcher right off the bat. Okay, so I knew that there were going to be a lot of cool cars in here. I did not know just how many there would be. So I said that I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to classic cars. I am definitely way in over my head here. This is the collection of a man by the name of Guy Mace. So he is going to kind of hop in and out here and help us to learn a little bit more about some of these classic cars.
Good afternoon. I'm Guy Mace. I'm the proud owner of this car museum. I started collecting cars to build a collection about 1990. In fact, this car here is a 1954 Jaguar. That's the first collector car I bought. And I started building my collection from there. I'd buy anywhere from 1 to 4 cars a year. Virtually all of them I bought at auction. I don't buy cars to redo them. I buy cars that are already finished and done, because today it doesn't pay anymore to buy an old car and recondition it, refreshen it. The guys that do that do it simply for the love of doing it, they enjoy doing it. But I buy my cars already done, let somebody spend the money to get them fixed up, and I enjoy the cars. But that's the first one I bought, and I collect sports cars and classic cars. I don't do hot rods or muscle cars. So that's my collection of about 75 cars, plus or minus. And I'm one of the unusual collectors that I drive most of the cars in the collection. Other fellas will buy their cars and put them in the collection and never drive them. I enjoy driving the cars. So you'll see me out in Springfield, Missouri, driving a different car every week, and that's what I enjoy doing. I have 2 mechanics that keep the cars running, because obviously you drive a car, an old car that's 75 or 100 years old, you're going to have trouble with it once in a while. And that's what they do. I bring a car in that needs a little bit of work. So that's what I do, and that's how I got the museum started. I just enjoy doing it. Keeps me out of trouble and off the streets.
Man, I'll tell you what, even for someone like myself who probably doesn't have the knowledge or appreciation that others might have for these cars, this is a really, really cool learning experience, and I love just looking at all the different body styles and thinking about the people who might have driven them. Now, when we walked in, we were greeted with the Batmobile. That's something that I can connect with. Here's something else that I can connect with. This is a 1983 DeLorean, and everyone who is watching this is thinking the same thing right now. You're thinking Back to the Future. So there were very few of these cars that were made. Here on the sign it says there were 8,580 that were produced in the original run. And you can see one thing that set them apart was these doors that had a hinge on the roof. And I'm going to take a quick look here just to double check and make sure there's not a flux capacitor in there. There is not. But yeah, there you go. There's a DeLorean.
Every car has a story. And I'll tell you a story about this car. This is a 1950 Jaguar Mark 5. One of the nicest cars I have in the collection. I bought this at a car auction in Branson, Missouri, about 50 miles south of here, and had it trailered home, which, by the way, when you buy a car at auction, you never drive it home because it's in an auction for a reason, but that's another story. Anyway, took this car home, back to Springfield. My wife followed me because when the first time I take a car out, I like to be accompanied by somebody because you never know. Filled it with gas, drove it back on one of our main streets here in town. Busy afternoon. I got involved in a 6-car rear-end collision. My wife was in the first car, which was a Jaguar sedan. This was the second car, and the young man, the 6th car, was in a pickup truck with his girlfriend, with his iPhone. He obviously wasn't paying attention, going about 40, 50 miles an hour, rear-end collision, damaged all 6 cars. This car was crashed in the front and the back, and I had to have it essentially completely redone at no small cost, by the way. I don't think the insurance company likes him very much anymore. But anyway, interesting little story.
Now, there are a lot of old cars in this museum, but if you want to know what the oldest cars are, well, you have to come back to this corner right here. So this red one that we are looking at is a 1907 REO Model G. It has a 1-cylinder engine, so I don't know what the top speed would be on that. I'm guessing that you would not consider it an REO Speedwagon. It's probably a little bit more of a putt-putt. This car and this one right next to it, this is a 1910 Maxwell Model G, and you can see how, you know, they're kind of in the transition between horse and buggy and motorized vehicles. They still kind of have that buggy look to them. These vehicles are referred to as brass era vehicles because of all of the brass that was used on the cars. As a matter of fact, if you go over here, well, you can see it's got like a little brass horn in here. Yeah, that thing is cool.
This is a 1949 Diamond T truck. These were heavy-duty trucks used in the 40s and 50s, and they were beat to death. You'd drive them till the wheels fell off. I wanted one of these for years and couldn't find one, and I went to the Barrett-Jackson auction in Scottsdale, Arizona. It's probably been 8-10 years ago. I'll be darned if it didn't have 3 of them for sale. I'd never even seen one, let alone 3. I bought this truck, brought it back to Springfield, Missouri, looked at the title, And lo and behold, the guy that had the truck was from Little Rock, Arkansas, about 150 miles south of Springfield. So this truck went all the way out west to Scottsdale, Arizona, and I bought it and came all the way back. This truck is a very, very nice truck. Terrible, terrible to drive. It has no synchronized gears. There's nothing automatic in it whatsoever. It is a bear to drive. But I got my Diamond T truck, so that's it.
And an Ozarks original at that.
And Ozarks original, yeah.
Moving on from the 1949 Diamond T truck, we get to a couple of vehicles that Guy was just showing me that I think really get into, to me, the spirit of Route 66. This is a 1948 Chrysler Woody, and as you can see, it gets the name from the wood paneling on the doors, which begs the question, when are we going to get back to integrating wood or wood paneling into our vehicles? Because I think that is cool as heck. Now, to me, this kind of shows or represents a shift in the United States. It's the post-war era in 1949. The economy is booming, and take a look at what is on this vehicle. Well, there's a luggage rack up here. So this is a car for families or for friends who are traveling. People maybe are starting to have a little bit more disposable income, and the car industry is kind of fitting into a little bit of a niche or filling a need. This car is cool as heck to me. Okay, now speaking of old 66, well, here's another one that kind of has a little bit of a connection to the Mother Road. This is a 1948 Hudson Commodore. Now, if you've seen the movie Cars, well, there's a character in the movie Cars that his name is Doc Hudson. Now, he's not a Hudson Commodore. He is a Hudson Hornet, but that car was voiced by Paul Newman, and they have one right here. Man, that is cool as heck.
This is a 1929 Ford Model A. The thing that's interesting about this car is that it is all original. The big deal about Model Ts and Model As is the people that collect them today want to completely tear them down, rebuild them, and paint them. So they're not strictly original. This is an all original car. And you take it to a car show. It's very popular because the typical person going to a car show has never seen an old car like this. They always see the ones that have been rebuilt and redone. So this is an interesting car. Right here next to it is also a Ford Model T that's called a Hack. This car was modified in the 1920s and had this body put on it. The Hack is the definition of a vehicle that would haul people from the train station to the hotel. And this is what this car was for, is people would get off the train, put their luggage in here, and be driven to the hotel. So this is called a Ford Hack.
Something that I at least want to make mention of is that as you are going through this museum, it's not only vehicles that you are looking at, but also old gas pumps. And here's a thing for motor oil. Here's an old, I guess you would call it like a map vending machine of sorts, which would be, maybe something that you would have seen on Route 66. Here's something for spark plug service. If we go over here, let me walk back over here at the Fords that we just looked at. Again, this Ford Model A is just so cool to me. Route 66 goes into service in 1926. Here's a 1929 Ford Model A, so you can imagine this going down the road. But here's another old gas pump here from the Standard Oil Company. And as I was looking at this Ford Model T depot hack, well, I noticed something that they have in here. You see, well, there's a prosthetic arm that is hanging there, which I thought was kind of an interesting addition. So I'm kind of curious about why that might be placed there. This is a 1925 model vehicle, so maybe it's to represent, like a World War I veteran who has been wounded and has lost a limb in combat, coming back and getting one of these, and then perhaps this is the rig that he would have to drive this vehicle.
When I was building my collection, I learned something very interesting. The typical vacationer, tourist, and just normal people who really don't know cars wouldn't walk across the street for a high-end classic car. But for the Ghostbusters, for the Batmobile, you'd run 2 blocks to catch up with it so you could look at it and take a picture. And me being a poor old engineer, I decided very quickly that for this museum to be a success, I'd better get some movie cars. So this is the Ghostbusters car. This is the latest Ghostbusters movie made with the ladies, that you can see here. This is one of 5 that are identical to the movie car, and they were put in for advertising purposes, put in the 5 major metropolitan areas of the country. This car was in Boston, actually, but it's identical to the movie car.
All right, got another cool one with a very larger-than-life historic figure attached to it. This is a 1939 Packard, and the particular model is a Packard Safari. So you can see where it has like this extended cab, I guess you would say. That's what I'm calling it anyway. And here you can see where it says Howerton Safari Service, Nairobi, Kenya. And it's got a tiger and an elephant on there just for show. So this Packard Safari is cool in and of itself, but this was the exact vehicle that was used by Winston Churchill when he went on safari in Africa. He went with the Prime Minister of Canada on a hunt, and they used this vehicle. And if you take a little closer look, well, you can see a little Canadian flag sticker up there. Oh my gosh, this museum is just awesome.
One of the main questions people ask, well, what's the most expensive car in the collection? It's the 1936 Porsche that you're looking at. H-O-R-C-H, not Porsche, a Porsche. The story of this is that August Porsche was chairman of the board of Auto Union in the early 1920s, and he had a running battle with the board and left the company, which was called Auto Union, left the company and started his own car company. And you'll notice on the front of this car are the 4 rings of Audi. Audi is still built today by Auto Union, but he went out and started building high-end cars, and you're looking at one of them here. This is one of about 50 cars that was sold to the German government in the mid to late 1930s for the General Officer Corps. So if you see an old, authentic German movie, it's quite possible you'll see a general officer driving in one of these with his driver.
One little addition with this Porsche that, again, we're just kind of speculating here, but again, this is a 1936 model, and this is a German vehicle. So if you see this little antenna looking thing right here, well, that's not an antenna. You can see it's got a couple hooks on there, probably used to attach a flag. And in 1936, this is going to be in the Third Reich era, so probably looking at a place where a Nazi flag would have been attached to this car. Holy smokes, that was legitimately awesome. If you were traveling Route 66, this is a must stop, because I didn't even show a fraction of what they have in there. Again, I'm not really a car guy, but I learned a lot in there, but there were also things that I could connect to, that I was familiar with. That was really, really good. All right, we're gonna jump back on Route 66 now. I'm trying to make it to Carthage this evening. I got another historic motel that we are going to be staying at tonight. And I have not had a legitimate meal all day, so I think I'm going to try and find something to eat. I had a little bit of the fudge that I bought earlier and a little bit of the snack that I got this morning at breakfast. But anyway, back on the road. All right, well, we just rolled into Carthage, Missouri, and Carthage, Missouri sits at kind of a crossroads. Along an east-west axis, of course, you have Route 66, and along a north-south axis, you have the Jefferson Highway that goes, I think, from Canada down to New Orleans. And right here at this crossroads is this very historic motel called the Boots Court Motel. And I am so pumped to be staying here tonight. This was built in 1939. You can see it has a pretty unique design. It has a bunch of the old neon that is incorporated into it. And yeah, we're gonna check this place out and see where we're gonna be staying tonight. So before we go in and check out the room, here's a little history on the Boots Court Motel. So you notice the design is a little bit different. So this was designed by a guy named Arthur Boots. He designed it in what was called the Streamline Modern style. And when this was built in 1939, well, they charged a pretty high price to stay here every night in order to kind of keep the riffraff out and discourage, some unsavory characters from, coming to the motel. The charge was $2.50 a night, which was really expensive. Now, here's what is really, really cool about this to me, is that there's this little area where you pull in your vehicle, and then there on the left, you can see where the rooms are. So I'm all the way down at the end on the left. I've already parked my vehicle there, checked in, talked to the owner. Very, very enthusiastic guy about Route 66 and had some good information. This structure fell into disrepair, and in later years, like really within the past few years, a foundation was established, and they ended up kind of restoring the structure. And now it's open to the public. All right, so that's where I'm at. Room number 8. We're going to go ahead and go take a look. One quick thing that I just remembered that I wanted to show before we go in and take a look at the room. As you pull into the motor court here, you see this sign welcoming you to Carthage, and here, kind of hiding behind the sign, well, there's this old sheriff's car. So yeah, it's kind of a cool little touch. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this place. All right, so here we go. We are in room number 8, and we'll go ahead and get our key in here. So you're going to be looking at this room at the exact same time that I am. Hey, this is cool. Oh, I love it. Oh, now check this out. Okay, one of the things that was kind of a big deal at the Boots Court Motel that they advertised was that there was a radio in every room. So I'd already booked this ahead of time, so they had this radio on and playing by the time that I got in. That is awesome. And it smells really nice in here, very clean. Take a look at a few other things they have here. There's the 66 Drive-In Theater here in Carthage. So that's another big landmark here in the area. This is really cool. Take a look at the bathroom here. Yeah, I love. Let me kick on a light here. Well, maybe. Oh, there's the light. I just love the classic feel and vibe that this has. All right, well, there you go. Another day here on the road, traveling the whole length of Route 66. I'm going to go ahead and unload the car, get my stuff in here, and get settled. I'm going to wait for it to get dark because I cannot wait to see this place lit up in neon at nighttime. But tomorrow, we will be back on the road and heading through Kansas and Oklahoma.